Imagine looking at a blueprint. Like if you are building a skyscraper and you make a mistake, you just erase a line.
Right, yeah. You stop the cranes, you reinforce the steel beam, and you just start again.
Exactly. But what happens when your blueprint isn't made of ink and paper, but of, living, breathing, self-replicating DNA?
That is a very different kind of blueprint.
It really is. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a deeply provocative essay titled, All the Devils Are Coming Out of Caves.
Quite the title.
Yeah, written by Shuifeng and edited by Care, and it essentially argues that humanity is about to make a fundamental, unerasable mistake.
A permanent one.
Right. We are going to explore the author's really intense warnings about biological genetic engineering. We'll look at, the utopian promises that are luring us in, and then the apocalyptic scenarios the author envisions if we tamper with nature's code.
And it's a text that pulls zero punches, I have to say.
Oh, absolutely none.
But just to set a baseline here for you listening, the views presented in this essay are highly opinionated and definitely, well, alarmist.
For sure.
We aren't here to endorse these viewpoints or take a definitive stance on the safety of biotechnology. Our role is simply to act as impartial guides. We just want to help you navigate the fascinating and intense arguments laid out in the original text.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the author doesn't actually start by pretending genetic engineering is useless, do they?
No, not at all.
They seem to fully acknowledge how world-changing this technology is before they drop the hammer.
They really do. The author opens by acknowledging the epoch significance of genetic engineering. They openly admit that its future potential is practically immeasurable. But, and this is key, they immediately use that incredible potential as the foundation for their warning.
Like it's a trap.
Exactly like a trap. The core argument is that this exact moment, the moment we feel the most powerful, the most capable of bending nature to our will, is when we're actually the most vulnerable.
Vulnerable to what, exactly?
To falling into a state of completely blind optimism.
And, when you look at the specific promises the author lists, it is so easy to see why we'd be blindly optimistic.
Oh, the list is staggering.
Right. I'm looking at this list of biological miracles in the text, and honestly, if I'm a policymaker, I'm tempted to sign a blank check for this research tomorrow.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream.
It does. The text enthusiastically details this utopian illusion we are chasing, starting with agriculture. They talk about fields producing 10,000 jin of grains per mu.
Which, just for context, uses traditional Chinese measurements to illustrate an unimaginably massive, hyperdense yield from a tiny plot of land.
Like way beyond normal farming.
Way beyond. It represents a total decoupling of agricultural output from the limitations of the earth.
It literally sounds like the absolute end of scarcity, and the author goes even further.
Oh yeah, the fruit and livestock.
Yeah. They mention tomatoes growing bigger than watermelons.
That's wild.
And peaches that are sweeter than honey. Plus, livestock growth is hyper-accelerated, like pigs reaching 100 kilograms in just half a month.
Which is an alluring vision because the author highlights how biotechnology perfectly weaponizes our most ancient survival instincts against us,
Wait, how do you mean?
Well, for all of human history, our primary struggles have been against starvation and disease.
Right.
So when a technology suddenly promises to entirely eliminate the struggle for calories, the temptation to rush forward is almost irresistible.
Oh, I see. And the promises aren't just agricultural either. The text dives into the biomedical side, which is arguably even more tempting.
Oh, for sure.
The author talks about reproducing human skin and organs on demand, cloning needed species.
They even mentioned that one medicine, right?
Yeah. The development of a medicine where a single dose satisfies a person's need for food for 3 entire months.
Incredible.
And the ultimate prize, of course, eradicating diseases, conquering cancer, and unlocking unlimited human longevity.
The Holy Grail.
Totally. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet where you never gain weight. It sounds too good to be true. So I really have to ask, if the benefits are this massive, why shouldn't we be blindly optimistic?
Well, because chasing it requires dismantling the very mechanisms that keep our reality stable.
Okay, stable how?
The author introduces a crucial concept here, the golden locks.
The golden lock.
Yeah, they describe our naturally occurring genetic codes, the DNA sequences that have evolved over billions of years as these golden locks.
I like that imagery.
It works.
Right.
Right. Their function is to maintain the relative ecological balance and stability of the natural world.
So it's kind of like load-bearing walls in a house.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, you might want to knock them down to get a nice open concept living room, but if you don't understand what those walls are supporting, the whole roof comes down on your head.
What's fascinating here is how the author expands on that exact idea.
Yeah.
These locks don't just hold the good things in place, you know. They actively prevent the devils from escaping the caves. An ecosystem is this infinitely complex web of interdependencies.
Yeah, everything affects everything else.
Exactly. So the author argues that when we start rewriting genetic codes to engineer pest-resistant crops or hyper-growing pigs, we aren't just making a localized change.
We're doing something much bigger.
We are shattering the golden locks that hold the entire natural order together. We are basically altering the foundational encryption of our planet.
Wow. Which brings us to the consequences, right? The text takes a massive pivot from tomatoes the size of watermelons to the sudden irreversible doom.
And it gets dark fast.
So fast. And the imagery the author uses to describe the escape of these devils is vivid, surreal, and like incredibly specific.
Very specific.
Yeah. Imagine waking up one morning to find that the people around you have suddenly grown tails.
Just out of nowhere.
Just out of nowhere. Their physical features have morphed, their voices have completely changed, and the reason, according to the text, is that they ate animal meat that contained mutant genes.
The author is illustrating a terrifying breakdown of biological boundaries here.
It really is terrifying.
It's this concept of horizontal gene transfer. The idea that the genetic modifications in our food could somehow interact with or overwrite our own human biology in completely unpredictable ways.
And the scenarios get even more bizarre from there. Like, you decide to call a friend who lives thousands of kilometers away to see if they're okay.
Right.
You pick up the phone, but instead of hearing their voice, you just hear chirp, chirp noises coming through the speaker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you realize your friend has grown feathers and a beak right out of their mouth, all because they ate poultry with mutant genes.
It's so unsettling.
Or you're trying to stay calm, you have guests over, and you're drinking tea in your living room. Suddenly, hundreds of cockroaches, but not normal cockroaches bigger than eagles, start crawling in from your kitchen.
Just absolute nightmare fuel.
Because they drank water contaminated by engineered genes.
Notice how the author systematically takes everyday, comforting scenarios like waking up next to a loved one, calling a friend, having tea in your home, and injects them with this grotesque genetic mutation.
I do notice that, but I have to interrupt here because reading all of this, I can't help but feel like I'm reading the script for a late-night B-movie sci-fi horror film.
It definitely reads like one.
Right. Eagle-sized cockroaches, people chirping like birds on the phone. It sounds absurd. Are we supposed to take these examples as literal predictions of what genetic engineering will do?
Well, it does sound like a B movie, but the author is using extreme hyperbole to force us to look at the mechanics of ecological collapse.
So it's not literal.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
We've already seen minor versions of this in the real world with invasive species, you know?
Oh, like cane toads.
Exactly. Think about the introduction of cane toads to Australia to control beetles, which instead became a massive, uncontrollable ecological disaster.
Right, because they just took over.
Yeah. The author is taking that real-world concept of a cascading failure and dialing it up to a microscopic genetic level. The point isn't necessarily that a human will literally sprout a beak.
Okay, so the bird people are basically a metaphor for the total loss of predictability.
Exactly.
Oh.
The author is illustrating a world where the fundamental rules of reality are shattered. I mean, if we alter the genetic baseline of a plant, what does that do to the soil microbiome?
No.
Right, what happens to the insects that eat the plant and the birds that eat the insects? The author's core message is about the sheer unpredictability of biological chain reactions. Once the locks are broken, the mortal world is no longer the one we know. People don't look human, wolves aren't wolf-like, and once those strange things happen, regrets are much too late.
That makes the next series of images in the text feel a lot more grounded in systemic failure, even if they're still visually wild.
Yeah, the scale just keeps expanding.
It does. You panic from the giant cockroaches, you get in your car to escape, you're driving down the highway, and suddenly the road ahead just disappears.
Swallowed up.
Yeah, tens of thousands of hills rise up in front of you, blocking the path. But they aren't hills. They are wildly growing potatoes that absorbed contaminated soil nutrients and expanded to the size of literal mountains.
It's an unchecked biological feedback loop.
Like a glitch in the code.
Exactly. Without the natural stop commands encoded in traditional genetics, growth becomes a cancer on the landscape.
So you manage to get home, you're sleeping soundly, trying to escape the nightmare, but you're violently awakened by the sound of collapsing walls and sharp screams.
Just terrifying.
You look into your yard and you see hundreds of giant rats, bigger than dogs, staring at you covetously. The safety of the home is completely breached by a natural world that is mutated beyond our scale.
And that leads to the collapse of human infrastructure. The mutations don't just stay in the wild. They dismantle our entire society.
Which the text illustrates brilliantly with the television.
Oh, the TV part is so chilling.
It is. You turn to the ultimate source of modern information. You turn on a national channel to watch the news and figure out what is happening. But every single channel is completely blank.
Nothing but static.
Nothing. The text explains that the entire country has been infected with a rapidly mutating gene. It spread so fast that everyone went mad and died within hours. The broadcasting just stopped. It's a silent apocalypse.
A total systemic wipeout caused by a biological pathogen that we inadvertently designed ourselves.
And the final image the author leaves us with is the plant life. You look outside and see plants reproducing and growing faster than ants can run.
That speed is hard to even picture.
Right. They swallow the highways, they crush the bridges, they climb the mountains and float across rivers, they occupy entire cities, sweeping across the earth.
It's a total takeover.
And the text uses this haunting, almost poetic phrase to describe the aftermath. From hill to hill, no bird in flight. From path to path, no man in sight.
It is the ultimate ecological overwrite. Nature reclaims the earth, but it's a mutant, hyper-accelerated nature where the sudden plant overgrowth has triggered instant animal death.
Just instant death everywhere.
Yeah. It highlights the author's central fear regarding irreversibility. Once this chain reaction begins in the ecosystem, you cannot reverse engineer it. You cannot recall a mutated gene once it is breeding in the wild.
But wait, let's assume the author is right about the fragility of these golden locks and the potential for a cascading ecological failure.
Okay.
We have international scientific bodies, you know. We have safety protocols. We don't just let anyone tinker with DNA in their garage.
Well,
Surely we have guardrails in place to prevent a potato from becoming a mountain or a gene from wiping out a country.
see, that assumes everyone playing with this technology has pure intentions, perfect knowledge, and operates under strict oversight.
Which is a big assumption.
A massive assumption. The text challenges that assumption directly by bringing in the human element. The author points out that we desperately want to believe scientists will handle this rationally, that they won't act recklessly.
We kind of have to hope they do.
But then the author adds this chilling line, "We can only hope."
Which is not exactly a rigorous safety protocol. Hope isn't going to stop a mutant pathogen.
No, it isn't. And it gets to the heart of the author's fear, human hubris.
Right.
The text argues that absolutely no one can be so sure that they have mastered all the secrets of gene interactions. Biology is infinitely complex. A tweak in one place, done with the best of intentions to cure a disease, could cascade into a disaster somewhere entirely unpredicted.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The author doesn't just worry about well-meaning scientists making an accidental mistake.
No, they take it a step further.
They introduce the concept of the gene hacker, and I love the analogy they use here to explain the scale of this threat.
It's a very modern way to frame it.
Yeah. Think about a standard computer hacker. If a malicious actor breaches your laptop or even a major corporation's servers, they can steal data, disrupt software, maybe crash an operating system.
Which is bad, obviously.
It's bad, it causes financial ruin, sure, but it's contained to the digital realm. If a regular hacker crashes your operating system, you can eventually isolate the virus, wipe the hard drive, and reboot the system.
But a gene hacker operates in the physical world.
Right. A gene hacker manipulating biological code is essentially writing malicious software into the fundamental operating system of the entire planet.
And nature doesn't have a factory reset button.
Exactly. Nature doesn't reboot. The author warns that a gene hacker could push all of humanity into an abyss.
This raises a massive point about the democratization of technology, actually.
How so?
Think about how quickly the tools for genetic engineering, like CRISPR, have become cheaper and more accessible.
Oh, true. You can buy kits online now?
Right. The power to alter life itself isn't just locked away in heavily regulated government labs anymore. The potential for a rogue actor, whether motivated by malice, terrorism, or just reckless curiosity to release something devastating, becomes a statistical probability over a long enough timeline.
That is terrifying.
It is. A biological virus is self-replicating, evolving, and spreading through the physical environment. Once it's out, it's out.
So if the threat is that massive, if the potential for accidental doom by scientists or intentional doom by gene hackers is a true existential threat, what is the author's proposed solution?
That is the big question.
How do we keep the devils in the caves?
The author's plea to governments and scientists is one of extreme, almost unheard of caution. The text argues that in order to protect nature's ecological balance and ensure our very survival, we need to hit the brakes entirely.
Like completely stop.
Completely. The author explicitly states that it would be better to suspend the development of bioengineering for an entire century than to act recklessly or compete for radical advancements.
A century. 100 years of zero genetic engineering development.
100-year pause.
That is a staggering proposition. They're essentially saying, put the pipettes down, step away from the microscopes, and let's sit in a room and think about the consequences for 100 years.
Pretty much.
Why a century, though? Why not just ask for, I don't know, better regulations?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the author frames this century-long pause as a necessary circuit breaker for the technological arms race.
Oh, I see.
Look at how scientific advancement works on a global scale. It is deeply intertwined with capitalist competition and nationalistic dominance.
Yeah, everybody wants to be first.
Exactly. Corporations race to patent the first drought-resistant crop. Countries race to develop the ultimate biomedical edge. The author believes that this intense competition inherently breeds recklessness.
We just rush things.
We rush products to the finish line before we truly understand the long-term, multi-generational impacts on the ecosystem.
So, by demanding a 100-year pause, they are demanding we step entirely outside of that competitive framework.
Yes.
They want to stop the race so that cooler heads can eventually prevail, assuming we survive the wait.
It is a desperate plea for restraint. They view genetic engineering not just as another tool in the human toolkit, but as an existential threshold. Crossing it without absolute, perfect understanding, which the author implies we may never have, is societal suicide masquerading as a utopian miracle.
So what does this all mean?
That's the heavy question.
It is. If we zoom out and synthesize everything we've unpacked today from Xu Feng's essay, we are looking at a passionate, terrifying warning against the sheer hubris of tampering with the building blocks of life.
Absolutely.
The text contrasts those alluring promises that weaponize our survival instincts, giant crops, the end of starvation, eradicating diseases with these apocalyptic visions of ecological collapse. The mutant creatures, the hyper-accelerated plants swallowing cities, and the terrifying reality of a biological open-source hack with no reset button.
And this shouldn't feel like a distant sci-fi thought experiment for you listening right now. We are already interacting with the early stages of this technology,
We really are.
We navigate genetically modified foods at the grocery store. We rely on biotechnological advancements in modern medicine. The text challenges you to look at your daily life and interrogate where the line between necessary progress and existential peril actually sits.
That is a tough line to draw.
It is. How much of the natural world's encryption are you willing to see broken in exchange for comfort or longevity?
It's a profound tension. We want the benefits. We want to cure the incurable. But the author is telling us that the price of that cure might be the stability of reality itself.
Which leaves us with a final, vital thought to mull over regarding the author's ultimate solution. The essay calls for a century-long suspension of genetic engineering to avoid a catastrophic, unpredictable apocalypse. But we have to consider the opportunity cost of that pause.
What do you mean by opportunity cost in this context?
Well, think about what happens if human society actually agrees to stop all genetic research for 100 years.
Okay.
What happens to the generations of people living right now and in the next few decades who will suffer and die from genetic diseases that this technology might have cured tomorrow?
Oh, man.
What happens to the massive populations facing starvation due to rapidly shifting climates who desperately need those engineered, drought-resistant, high-yield crops just to survive the next famine?
Oh, wow. If you mandate a 100-year pause on the cure, you are essentially accepting the devastation of the current diseases and the current climate realities.
Precisely. It forces us to ask a deeply uncomfortable question. In our desperate attempt to avoid a theoretical future catastrophe by freezing progress, do we inadvertently create a present-day catastrophe?
Wow.
Can extreme caution become its own form of devastation? Is the refusal to act, knowing you have the tools to alleviate suffering, just as dangerous as acting recklessly?
That is a staggering question to walk away with. The idea that doing nothing might carry the same moral and physical weight as doing the wrong thing.
It's quite the paradox.
It is a phenomenal tension between the fear of the unknown devils in the caves and the very real suffering happening outside of them right now.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into such a wild, thought-provoking text.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
It really challenges you to look closely at the biological blueprint of our future and the guardrails we choose to place around it. Keep questioning the world around you, keep looking for those golden locks, and we will catch you next time.